So if you break it down into its two root words, balik, meaning to return, and bayan, meaning one's land, it becomes balikbayan, someone who returns to their land.
Hey, can you turn me up a little bit? Don't need to be a star, I'll just stay down to earth. Blurred shaded skin, my body a garden of words. Prose for roses, poetry is birth. From deep roots, yet a green shoot on elder shoulders. So a soul into a woman that becomes
We became really... Dude, yo, the kids out here, I don't know what they do outside. Sometimes it feels like they're killing each other. Yo, mga kababayan. I don't know. Nandito na naman ang inyong favorite Balikbayan na missionary, walang iba kundi si Itim. So for those of you who are new here, you can call me Itim. It comes from the Tagalog word Itim that I translate as dark, as a way to honor, love, embrace our dark skin as people of this land and of all people from all shades and all places. I hope that through voices like mine, one day when our titos and titas say, umitim ka, you got dark, it's actually gonna be a compliment and not an insult.
Wow, umitim ka. Pogi mo kaya. Parang gumanda ka. Kasi dahil umitim ka. Ang ganda ng kulay mo eh. Ganda ng kulay mo eh.
As Itim, I'm a rapper, MC, independent artist, an NGO, non-governmental organization, worker doing community development out here in Quezon City, Metro Manila, Philippines, a seminarian which has some baggage that we'll get into some other time, but above all, a balikbayan, not a missionary. If you've been keeping up with this now year-long episode of my vlog series, you'd know that I have been unpacking what this word balikbayan means to me. And in the last episode, the fourth part, I talked about a specific experience in the mud that showed me what this word balikbayan, one who returns to their land, can really mean. For me, as a second-gen Phil-Am from the white suburbs, coming all the way to Riverside, Quezon City. So here's a quick Tagalog lesson because I believe in reclaiming and remembering our mother tongues. Halika dito. Halika dito. Now, aside from being a meme now from these Phil-Am F-boys trying to be funny,
Halika dito right quick.
kind of tired of y'all, to be honest. Aside from being that, halika dito basically means come here. It's an imperative for you, the addressed person, to come here. And so this phrase, halika dito, actually became really meaningful for me as I transitioned coming back from the Philippines in 2014, finishing off the rest of my 2 years at college, and looking forward to actually making this move here to the Philippines. I just want to have a really quick disclaimer / trigger warning. I have an evangelical Christian background. I definitely have progressed and identify more as a progressive Christian these days, some sort of thing like that, although labels are sometimes helpful, sometimes not. Because this particular moment in time for me really was about my faith, and my faith was a huge part of making this decision, I'm going to use some religiously connotated language that people who may have been in evangelical spaces may be more familiar with and may speak the sort of same language.
For the Lord! Glory to God!
But I want to make it as accessible as possible to those who don't have the same experiences and background. But nonetheless, I apologize because I know them evangelicals, they be making a mess everywhere.
And death to Christian nationalism. Death for Christians that care about our country.
I'm just trying not to add to that, but I want to share about how my experience coming from that world really brought me over here. And so coming back to college in August 2014, I feel like in many ways I came back as a different person, not only because I had now had this desire and commitment to come back here to the Philippines, but I also felt like my own theological, social, political views had begun to change as a result of my experience here. Because a lot of my life, as I've shared previously, was bred in a lot of privileged insulation, coming from the American suburban white dream and getting a sort of outlook on the world, especially through the evangelical lens, as to how things should be and why things are the way they are. And so because of my upbringing, I thought I had these answers for why the world is the way it is and what needs to happen. But as I went to the Philippines, saw these things up front in my face, experienced the heat, saw what it's like in the middle of a informal settler community or slum, and started to see life from their perspective, I realized that my suburban bred Christianity wasn't enough to answer the questions that this new place was posing at me. I think one of the gifts of that trip was really just my learning to let go of my strong hold on these answers in ways that I thought the world was supposed to be, and listening to the context I was in, listening to the people around me, especially people who were from a different background and life experience. But all of that to say, I came back with a newfound open-mindedness and willingness to listen and learn from people who are different from me. Whereas the first 2 years were sort of about this Christian kid from a suburban bubble trying to convert everyone he could talk to, whether they be professors, classmates, a random person on campus. I became less about imposing my beliefs on other people, and in the second half of college started to be more about learning from other people's beliefs and perspectives. And because of that, having friends in the LGBTQ community, especially having Black friends in the middle of Black Lives Matter at the peak moment, especially in Berkeley, getting to learn from these various perspectives in very poignant times started to really change my personal beliefs and values. And so I strayed farther and farther away from the mainline evangelical talking points, and many people would say I backslid.
But you've backslidden, you've gone away, you've turned away, you've fallen aside.
And that's a stereotype of what happens when a person goes to Berkeley. I don't know, when a person goes to Berkeley, who would have thought they learn things and they change? Wow. God forbid. People learn things and change. Instead of staying in the same Christian college to Christian job to Christian suburb pipeline that a lot of my classmates were into and are into. But hey, man, you do you. If that's your life, that's your life. Let's just stop making life harder for others. And so I had these really great relationships, learning from people in various spaces. But I actually really valued things I was learning in the classroom in college. I studied political economy, which was sort of the perfect academic discipline to go into right after coming from this very jarring experience living among the working class in an informal settler community that's in a globalized context. Having something like political economy to provide me with histories, the frameworks, the theories to better get a handle of what I had just experienced helped me find some sense of groundedness in these huge complex problems that, again, like I had said, felt like I was stuck in the mud with my people. As a consequence, learning from these really great relationships and friends, having a very particular academic discipline that was forming my ways of looking at these big problems, I ended up with a very, very different outlook on life and the world as opposed to when I came in as a young, naive 18-year-old. And so I came back to college with this newfound open-mindedness. The world was a mess, and as we tried to deal with the realities of losing more and more unarmed Black lives and fighting for their justice, having all of that going on, and then also trying to finish my degree. I'm turning in my last paper of my college career. Spring 2016, I get handed my degree, I do my graduation speech, and get thrown into the world. I'm done with college! Woo! To young adult, early 20-something life. What I did initially was work 2 part-time jobs. I worked one job as a part-time intern for InterVarsity Christian Fellowship doing college ministry. There's a lot there. That's why I had a trigger warning. I'll just say, for fear of this hijacking the entire episode, I'll just say InterVarsity needs to be held accountable for the ways that they fired LGBTQ plus identifying and affirming staff. But I still have friends there. They're doing stuff. I imagine there's good things happening. That's all I want to say on that. It was a job. And so I worked that IV InterVarsity college ministry job part-time, and then I also worked part-time as an after-school educator with Galing Bata after-school program, which I am much more happy and proud to share about and want to support continually because they do great work serving the Filipino, Filipino-American, and beyond community in the South of Market in San Francisco. After college, I worked these 2 part-time jobs, one as a quasi-college minister, the other as a after-school educator. Definitely was a lot. Both of those things are very emotionally draining, and having 2 part-time jobs definitely feels like more than 1 full-time job. But long story short, I make it through 2016, 2017, as difficult as it was dealing with all the things that happened, like the Trump election, which, again, so many things happening at this time. I don't want one thing to hijack this episode, but there was a lot, and I'm sure a lot of us remember, and those were many turning points for many people. And so mid 2017, I'm still thinking in terms of academic years because both jobs revolved around the academic year. And so the end of the academic year, mid 2017, I actually got offers from both part-time jobs to go into more full-time work. At the time, as difficult as they were, I was finding moments and aspects of the jobs that I genuinely enjoyed and could see myself doing for a few more years. And so these offers started to get kind of tempting, but I still remembered I had made this commitment back in 2014 to come back. I made a commitment to come back to the Philippines to live and serve a working class community. But here were these nice looking offers coming my way that made the mud harder to remember. It was a little more difficult remembering what that mud felt like.
Iya talaga naman.
Oh my gosh. All right, I better get out of here.